Hello, welcome to today's episode of The BIM Student. I'm your host Chetna Chauhan. Today is another episode from our technical series. Today I'll be talking about Kreo Modular. Kreo Modular is an AI-powered software for developers, manufacturers and contractors that are involved in modular construction and are looking to save time and money while improving the quality and speed of their feasibility assessment. All this while integrating seamlessly into any BIM authoring tool. Our guest today, Adrian Mitchell, is VP of Sales and Business Development at Kreo. He has a diverse background with expertise in prefab and modular methods. A former director of sales at both Horizon North Modular and Bone Structure, Adrian understands how new and modern methods of construction can leverage technology to achieve mass adoption. Let's listen to him and get a deeper dive into the world of possibilities that Kreo Modular can bring onto modular construction projects. Welcome to my podcast, Adrian. I'm so glad you were able to make time and you were able to come and discuss with me about Kreo Modular and yourself and what you guys are up to. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Chetna. It's a pleasure to join you.
And to start with, can you give my audience a little overview of what Kreo Modular is all about and a little bit of your background too?
Yeah, sure. So Kreo, we basically developed a platform to facilitate the adoption of modular and modern methods of construction. So we understand that there's a gap in the design process as it pertains to modern construction systems. And so the goal of Kreo is to fill that gap and to provide a technology that can facilitate specification of modular building systems at the earliest stage of construction. How did I end up getting involved on this adventure with Kreo? Well, I worked in the construction industry, specifically modular prefabrication, probably for the last 10 years or so. And I've kind of lived some of the problems that, that industry has faced as far as achieving adoption and percentage of the overall construction market. So I lived those problems, and one of my recent roles as a director with a company called NRB and Horizon North Modular, which is one of Canada's largest modular producers, I went to investigate a technical solution that could allow us to have products specified by architects. Instead of trying to convert traditionally designed projects at the bidding stage into modular projects, I figured, we should have our product specified right from the start. And then when it comes to bidding on it, it's actually applicable. And that whole investigation led me to find Kreo. And then I liked Kreo so much, I decided to join them and leave the construction space on the modular side. So that's kind of the short story.
Oh, okay. We will make you go into the long story eventually. About Kreo. So what my basic understanding, and it's very, very basic, is that Kreo is a generative design solution, especially for people who would not actively use Revit, Dynamo, or any of these generative design plugins. Kreo is an option for them that they can create their generative design solutions through it, and especially with modular. So how right I am in that understanding?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track with that, analysis of where we fit in. But I think what's interesting is, you mentioned Dynamo and Revit, and these are like more complex platforms. Jump into a Revit or a Dynamo at a conceptual stage, right? I mean, there are some architects that start concepts right into Revit, I guess, but the vast majority of architects that I know of, they start by sketching, whether that's digitally sketching, manually sketching. Some of them still like to do that. SketchUp. Concepts start on sketches, and they start by trying to find a massing that will fit within, core criteria for the site. That will fit within core criteria for the building type. So architects are generally trained to conceive projects in this way. Start with a mass and then add detail as you go, right? And this is, I think, a key step that has been largely ignored, not only by the BIM industry, but really by the modular industry itself, because the modular industry traditionally has has tried to fit within the traditional design development process, which is, design a building, which is a one-off always because it's unique to each site, and then try to bid on that building when it comes up for construction tender. The problem with that is modular systems are designed to be manufactured on a production line, and they don't like one-off projects. Most modular companies are conceived around repeatable industrial, oil and gas, work camp type projects. And the reason those make sense is because they're repeatable products. So actually the modular industry has not been successful, I think, in applying that strategy to the design development industry, commercial construction, commercial design development of projects, because they failed to treat modular product, have it specified, which is what we feel like is the right approach. So it all starts in conceptual design, and that's where modular projects are won and lost. So we intend to correct that and to provide a tool that can be used to quickly perform feasibility stage design studies without that architect having to microanalyze the limitations of every manufacturer because they've already been programmed into the platform.
The way our software provides solutions is just the modular, or it can be any project?
Well, right now, Kreo Modular as it stands is intended for volumetric modular construction systems. So volumetric, as you know, are modules which are three-dimensional boxes that can be produced in factory and delivered, trucked or trained or boated to a job site, right? This is a form of modular construction, but it's not the only form. It's just our algorithms and our platform are designed around 3D volumetric. Kreo 2.0 will accommodate more modular systems, including non-volumetric building systems. We know things like CLT and mass timber,
right,
which are quite often modular building products, where they're prepared in standard sizes and increments, pre-drilled, can be the goal is to have these to be functional on Kreo 2.0 or panelized construction. I mean, ultimately, they're all modular. They're all prefabricated kits and parts that leverage BIM and productization. And so our goal is for Kreo to be not just a 3D volumetric, but the home for all modular and prefabricated building systems.
Okay, so just last week, I was listening to a really amazing podcast about prefabrication, and it opened my horizon too, because like you said, when I think about modular or I think about prefab, I'm thinking about, okay, this is the pre-made unit and you just repeat these units, whether it's a residential unit or even like a self-contained washroom or stuff like that. It's built in a factory. But basically this person on this podcast was discussing that it's anything that is constructed in a factory, shipped to the site, and then assembled on the site to form a part of your structure. It doesn't have to be the whole structure. It's part of prefab. So again, coming back to Kreo, do you already have such systems where you can create design solutions for just some parts of the kit, or you have to put the whole kit of parts together, or at least a unit together?
We're really focused on the overall building structure, right? And I know that there are modular companies that focus on doing things like bathroom pods.
Right.
The reason I don't think that will ever really scale is because that's a solution that's kind of like a band-aid for a problem that is the traditional method of design development, right? So that's like taking a component that actually can be prefabricated because the rest of the building can't, and saying, well, we can bite off this 1% of your project or 2% of your project and modularize that. Okay, well, that's great. That's better than no modular. But what we're trying to bite off here is like the reason why the entire building hasn't been built that way, right? Not just try to find, a band-aid solution that doesn't really address the bigger opportunity and the bigger problem, which is, why hasn't that entire building been productized, and that providing a solution that allows for that opportunity to even be possible in the first place, right? So because the bathroom pod or the mechanical pod, they are bidding those at the same stage that the overall building is getting bid. It was never intended or designed around being modular in the first place. Okay. Does that kind of help?
It is getting, okay. So we've done the demo together. You've shown me how it looks like. I can see that, it is giving me a solution where I have a few modular construction companies, modular building solutions, and they're like, and I know how they function is that they have client that they want to, give them an option to develop, a developer who can develop not with traditional construction methods, but with their construction methods and their modules. And I've seen that how beautifully a model that or a unit that can be developed in the site, giving all the parameters of density and GFAs and feasibility analysis for like sunlight studies. I know, like, we've done all of that. Would you briefly want to talk about the process, that how if I mean, sure, we have to have a video demo for this, but if you have to just explain it, what is the process to follow?
The process. I think the process is pretty similar to if you were to take the traditional process at every stage of conceptual and pre-con. It's not like what we're doing, it's necessarily a different process. It's just that because we're leveraging the power of BIM, because we're leveraging the power of productization, that's the word I was looking for. Productization being a defined kit of parts that's reused again and again, where you already know, maybe the cost associated with that kit of parts, construction timelines, there's rules associated with that kit of parts as to how it would be put together. Because you have all this data and it's not new every time you go to use it, which is the traditional method. It's a new project, it's a new kit of parts every time. You don't know a lot of stuff when you go into conceptual design, when you go through traditional process. What we leverage is the fact that when you productize using modular systems, there's a lot of data that you have from previous applications of that system that you can leverage using technology like Kreo and using our AI. So we ultimately are able to deliver the kind of information you wouldn't get until you were maybe 3 to 6 months into pre-con. We're able to deliver that kind of data right away within the first few minutes. And we're able to do that, at a much lower cost. This means that you can make better decisions if you're a developer, because you can get informed decisions about doing quick feasibility studies on perhaps 2 or 3 lots that you're looking to buy, because you can actually quickly develop a design using a real system that's priced out by a modular manufacturer, perhaps, that produces that system. You're able to apply it quickly, design something that fits within the general code of that lot, and then compare those buildings and their costs against each other to find the best lot, best ROI, right? I mean, this is a process that developers typically spend, like I say, months on, and typically can't really dive into it this detail without spending a ton of money, and they typically don't spend a ton of money at that stage because the money's tight before they fund the project. So this is that, right? So yeah, I mean, ultimately the process, it's really, we're not trying to change the process. What we're doing is we're using technology and data and BIM, and we're putting it all together, merging it all, and leveraging all of the strengths of each one to be able to make quicker, faster decisions on how to design and develop projects. Because if you do one-off projects all the time, it's really hard to take that data and apply it to a new one-off project, right? Unless it's exactly the same tower that you're cloning, which does happen, I guess, from time to time. But so this is the key, is just leveraging data and using AI to help apply it quickly and to make better decisions. Really.
Okay, and sorry, I'm gonna be, because I have this. Sorry, I'm going to be cutting you here, but this is one thing that I have always, and it's my concern also with modular, is that we do not get a lot of options, and the only word coming to my mind right now is design option. And I guess it's not like your particular program, but like my personal complaint with modular systems is that they don't give us variety. Like, I come from an architecture background. I'm somebody, for them, aesthetics and having different options is it is something that I'm looking from a process. And so do you think, like you said, Kreo 2.0, do you think when Kreo 2.0 rolls, it could, if not replace, but could be friendly for somebody who's not using visual programming? They can use it on a traditional project and develop design options.
You made a couple of interesting points, Chetna. Like, the first is, yeah, it's true. I mean, especially in North America, modular systems are, very, very early in their design development and sophistication, right? Like, and there are a lot of bad, ugly examples of modular construction. It's disappointing. It's an eyesore. The company I used to work for, some of the first projects they did were just oil and gas camp boxes, essentially, with a little bit of lipstick on them. And they aren't attractive buildings, and they are kind of not great for promoting modular, right? Like, I mean, they accomplished what they had to accomplish, and they were rapidly designed and developed and put on site and got some people off the street and had a positive impact there. But as far as creating excitement about how, no one wants to have buildings like that scattered all over the city that are ugly, right? Small windows, big gaps between the window. Like architects aren't the only one that don't like those buildings. I'm not an architect. I don't like those buildings. They're modular. But the reason for that, I guess, that stereotype is because modular companies in North America have failed to productize and create a product that architects want to use, and that is, offering the ability to create expression and also to be used in different ways that can create unique looking buildings, right? But I will challenge you on something though. I live in Vancouver. And I live in Olympic Village, and I look out to the West End and to Yaletown all the time, and all those towers look the same. They were all glass and concrete. I mean, sure, there's minute differences in the height and the unit mix. They're all one-off projects, but they all look the same.
They all look siblings.
They do. So like ultimately, it's not the fault of architecture that modular isn't more popular and that modular isn't a large percentage of the market. At the end of the day, it's modular manufacturers who need to take the initiative to come up with the products, just like a door or a window manufacturer needs to come up with a product and have it and present it to architects for specification and to earn that business and to put the effort into designing the product people want. They have failed to do that. Simple as that. And I mean, it's changing. We're seeing a lot of innovation actually coming out of Europe and the United States. I can't wait to see when we have the innovation here in Canada, and I'm sure it's coming. But we need modern materials, like, for example, steel and mass timber, to be able to create better structural solutions that can facilitate more flexibility and better aesthetics and better performance, right? So that's, stuff that I was trying to work on before I left the modular industry myself. And eventually will happen, whether it's volumetric modular or panelized systems, which there's actually a lot more progress happening in non-volumetric right now here in Canada. But that's what needs to happen, and it's kind of a perfect storm and convergence is happening, that creating the perfect time for this to occur, where there's a labor shortage and spiraling quality control issues with traditional means that are really giving rise to an environment where we can actually see adoption.
Right. And coming back to Kreo and leveraging the data, how easily are the options or the solutions developed with Kreo? How easily are they integrated within a BIM software? And are there like some specific software that your solution is compatible to, or is it like more open source? You can just import it in any BIM authoring tool?
Yeah, so because we're really just trying to solve the conceptual piece of the puzzle, to really allow a project to be designed around a kit of parts from the start, we're not getting into a ton of detail. The way we work with clients is we start by taking a library from that client's BIM design tool. So you need to have a kit of parts already defined, and that could be a previously completed project that you have in Revit or SolidWorks or whatever you're using, AutoCAD, and we can work with pretty much any BIM software. We'll take that kit of parts, we'll dissect it either out of that building, that completed design, or even better, if you've already broken your kit of parts down into kind of subsections or assemblies, then that's the best. That's where we can work really quickly and efficiently for a client. And then we'll have a document from the client, or we'll interview the client and say, what are the rules to your kit of parts? What are the building types it can be used for? What's the maximum number of stories, perhaps? The maximum footprint dimensions? What are the core configuration rules? How do you handle corners? And then we take all of that and we apply a set of rules so that our algorithm knows where to put components from your library. So we're using your real BIM objects, applying a set of rules to those that our algorithms can follow. This is essentially what we do. And then our software articulates that at a very low level of detail, but it does it very quickly. So it does it at a level of detail that I would call like LOD, maybe LOD 100 or LOD 200, depending on the system. Can we get further in if you have an MEP system? Yeah, we can. But most of the clients are just treating it as kind of like not as rudimentary as a massing, but something that you create as quickly as a massing, but that gets you to LOD 200.
Yeah. So which means that coming back to a company that provides modular design solutions or modular construction solutions, if I'm working closely with a client, let's say I'm a modular construction company, I can pretty much take my results, my solutions from Kreo, and I don't know any BIM authoring tool. I don't know Revit. I don't know ArchiCAD. I don't know. I can still take that solution and present it to my client and tell them that these are options A, B, C for this site that you have, or these are my solutions and this can fit in your site A or site B or site C. So it is pretty much on those lines.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that you can present to a client at feasibility stage.
Okay.
You could even use it to sit with a client and work through some options. They can be part of that process, which is also a fantastic advantage. I mean, normally modular clients would never do that because it would take weeks to develop new options for a client. Not only that, they'd have to charge a lot of clients to do that work. So, right away you lose a lot of people who are curious about modular because they don't even want to pay for feasibility on a project because they've never done modular before. It's already a risk. So that a lot of modular producers lose the project before they even get a chance to try and get it. So what else is interesting is you can quickly make changes, right? This happens all the time where, even in traditional, where an architect and a developer work to come up with a few options, then the developer reviews the pro forma against a couple designs the architect's done, and then they say, you know what, we have to change the unit mix because the market conditions have changed and now we need more 2 bedrooms, right? Or the city is forcing us to increase the number of rental units in our project. And we designed it with 15%, and now they want 25. And so now the architect has to go back drawing board. Whereas, using technology like Kreo, it's basically a quick 5-minute process to make that change. Not only that, you can see how that change could be articulated into a few different massings. So it's really facilitating a lot more thoughtfulness in project in the right areas and not a lot of time wasted on doing a bunch of low value, heavy lift, redrawing the thing in Revit. But the nice thing is once you get something that you think is close to being, feasible, we can export an FBX file and you can go right into Revit or another BIM program and continue on. You don't have to redraw the whole thing, right? So so from that standpoint, it just opens up a lot of opportunities. And,
it does. Yeah. Is Kreo web-based, app-based? Is the plugin? How can we use it?
Yeah, it's a web-based tool, pretty lightweight. You don't need a supercomputer to use it. You don't need any special software to use it. And you don't need to be trained in Revit or any BIM programs to use it. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not a Revit user. I don't know how to use Revit. I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer. I'm a BD guy with a bit of a technical aptitude. But when I said I lived problem working for a modular company, I was a director of sales. My job was to sit down with developers, builders, stakeholders, and work with them to, conduct feasibility and really, try to convince them that they should consider modular. And I was always at the mercy of my estimating and the design, even for a base concept. And all too often they were backlog work. So this initial conceptual review could easily be completed by them with this technology, but it could also be used by less sophisticated, less technical users. Where it gets really interesting is when the clients are able to actually even start testing it on their own using a kit of parts that's defined by the manufacturer, right? So it's really empowering not just an internal specialist group that's already overburdened with backlogs of work. It's really empowering a wider range of users. It's allowing BIM to be accessible to less technical users, which at the end of the day is just widening the funnel for the factory and really making it easier for modular testing by various stakeholders in pre-construction.
Right, and I think the more audience or more users technology reaches, it becomes better. It has more, it has wide reachability, which means it has more acceptability. And people, like just earlier I was talking to somebody and they were saying that we have different contractors for different projects, and it is very difficult to repeat the whole process and explain them that this is our BIM process. So with every project we have new vendors, new contractors, and so I do understand if somebody like my husband is a salesperson, like he's into sales, so if he can use a tool to where he doesn't understand a lot of data and all of that, but he can actually give solution to his clients where he can, the clients can pick and choose. It's really powerful, and our clients can say that, okay, I think it's more like how insurance people, they do it, right? So this is the age criteria, this is the this is your medical background, so these are 4 options benefits that you have, or these are insurance options that you have. So, and now we have online tools that you input some of your medical history and background, and you have options of all the medical insurances that you can go for. So like, how am I saying is because my husband is like into finance and all of that sector. So I do understand that now there are tools that, I can go and, just input my parameters, and I can choose with the price that this is the best medical insurance for me. So I know it's not as simple as that. There are many moving parts in construction industry, but kudos to you for coming up with a solution like that. I've tried it. I've found it like really, really, really helpful. I would really recommend a lot of people to give it a try, to book a demo, which also gives them a chance to talk to you, which is great. We should move to the next section, and let's just, take this burden off of construction and all this, and let's get to our impossible questionnaire. So this part of our podcast is where I try to grill my guests on some really, really difficult questions, and they will not be able to answer that most of the times. So let's move to that section.
Great, I'm ready.
Okay. You're not expected to all of them, but it would really help you scratch a part of your brain that, I think I knew it, but I didn't dig deep enough. So let's see. Let's go to a question that would be, I wish I had a tool where, okay, pick, do you want to pick construction or do you want to pick architecture? I don't have that. I just have questionnaire on Word.
No problem.
I'm gonna pick that. Okay. In concealed construction, a material or member which fills or seals open, what is it called? Is it called a draft stop? Is it called a fire stop? Is it called a tailpiece, a backpan, or an insulation?
An insulation.
No, it's called a draft stop.
Okay.
I'm going to repeat in a concealed construction, a material or a member which fills or seals the open. Does it make sense now? Okay. So the next question is, let me pick up a little. I think I should give you an easy one. Maybe. Okay. Do you know anything about welding?
Not really. I know you want to be CWB certified.
Okay. There is a weld called a fillet weld. Do you know another name for a fillet weld? Okay, I'm going to give you 3 options and you tell me what is another name for a fillet weld. A convex weld, a miter weld, a concave weld, or all of these?
Concave?
All of these. It's all of these.
Okay. That's a trick question.
Yes, I've had a lot of trick questions in my podcasts, and I always advise my guests that do listen to the previous podcast, because sometimes I repeat questions too.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. There are so many questions. I think I can't even an hour or something is not enough to talk in detail about the technology behind and everything, but we have to sum it up. And I would say, just to sum everything up and everything about Kreo, what is your rose and your bud and your thorn when you're talking about Kreo Modular and the kind of solutions it's providing to modular construction companies?
So I think as far as opportunities for today are massive in a few different fronts. So obviously we want to see more high quality, affordable housing and construction methods, right? We want to address the lack of people entering skilled trades, and then combined with the need for construction to keep happening. And modular has the ability to do that. So we need to make modular easier for the industry to specify. So the opportunity for today is to modular industries to productize and then take that product and put it in the hands of the people who are doing all of the design of these buildings and say, hey, we've got a tool and a technology in Kreo that's fantastic for making it easy for you to conceptualize projects and try modular with a very low risk and low cost. And this is the first step to creating better, lower cost buildings that are scalable. The opportunity for tomorrow is to see a growing, healthy modular construction industry of new manufacturers and growing manufacturers where they have the wherewithal and the capital to invest into better systems, right? We talked about before about how there's a need for more newer engineered modular systems that architects want to use. Well, a lot of these companies don't want to put the money into that without a stable pipeline of work, without assurances that they're going to be able to continue to grow. So if we can get some basic levels of modular, rudimentary modular down and more projects on the way and see success and growth in that industry, we're going to see more reinvestment. And then when we get more reinvestment, we're going to see the benefits of wide-scale modular adoption, which are longer, more durable buildings, longer lasting buildings that go up with lower cost in half the time, traditional methods, and buildings that can go up with a fraction of the trades on site needed. And then also an economy that's growing in markets where there's substantial unemployment, because modular facilities can be built in markets outside of major city centers where maybe there's higher levels of unemployment. So that's, and then of course, the future, what this looks like, the benefits of the future are better buildings that are more affordable for everybody and higher performing as well. So that's my vision. That's our goal here at Kreo, and we're doing what we can to facilitate that. And we believe the key is in pre-construction.
What would be your biggest challenge as far as technology application? Like, I know you talked about lack of innovation, especially in design, and it's like challenging the modular industry that come up with designs that are attractive. But other than that, in terms of technology, where do you think we could achieve more to get something, even applying it to regular projects? Right? Do you think there's an opportunity or there's a challenge in that?
Well, I think there's opportunities. I mean, not every project can be built off-site, and there's a lot of reasons for that. That doesn't mean they can't be modularized or prefabricated components or hybridization that occurs, right? The problem is there isn't a lot of knowledge as to how to integrate prefabricated systems in the conceptual space. And the conceptual phase is the most critical phase. It really determines how the building will get built right away. So yeah, I mean, I think what's needed are the systems that offer the flexibility to be used in a wide range of applications, perhaps some hybridized construction systems and perhaps some non-hybridized, but it's not up to the architects to design modular systems. It's up to the architects to design a building that meets the criteria for their client and the site, and that's livable and well designed and follows the building code. They can't also be designing modular systems. That's where, so I really think the onus is on the modular industry to improve and be better so that architects can use their systems. What those systems look like could be any number of things for any number of building types.
And I think it's also more industry, like collaborating with each other and bringing to the table which is workable for everybody. I mean, I know that traditional construction methods are not going anywhere, but that also means that there is a big gap that modular can fill, and which also means there is a scope and room for innovation, and products like Kreo are there to help us that at least, okay, we got this under control. We got conceptual design under control. Let's look at more innovative designs, more creative designs inside the modular system. So yeah, it is really exciting. I would say it has been a very, very, very good discussion with you, Adrian. I would encourage anybody listening to this podcast to go try, book a demo with Kreo Modular, look at the various modules within it, and decide for yourself. I have liked the product. I hope everybody does.
Well, thanks, Chetna. It's been great joining you today, and thanks for all the thoughtful questions and discussion.
Thanks. Pleasure's all mine.